What's good, YouTube? It's your boy cbmarcus, and we are back with the EWT bracket number 3. This is the third and final bracket. If you've seen the channel, you'll probably be able to tell that we didn't upload anything for the second bracket, but that is going to be on its way at another point. Basically, when that was happening, I got COVID, and then as I was isolating, my computer started to crash and die. So now that we're both back and better than ever, I would like to believe, here we are with the third bracket. Bracket number 2 will be uploaded at a later date. So for now, let's just enjoy this, I guess, supposedly last bracket with a draft analysis. So basically, just like the first one, I picked 3 mons that I felt like I could gear weather team around. Basically, these were just 3 mons I want to use by default, like regardless of the weather or even if there was a weather team backing it. They were just mons that I thought that were fun. I've used in the past, at least with these 3. Some of the others were newer, but with these 3 mons, I've had some good experiences with them, and I just want to bring them back for another round. But I feel like these can also benefit off of weather, especially rain, which is going to be the one that we're using today. These mons maybe don't like obviously benefit from weather. That being said, I feel like this synergizes well with the mons that we also have on our weather team. So without further ado, let's check out the first 3 mons that we picked. They aren't, anything crazy. Obviously, Mence is the highest point mon at 13, and then we got Magnezone at 10. But this is like an old drag mag core that I feel like is kind of fun. Basically, I've been using Salamence and Magnezone since like Gen 7. Salamence I had used in like Gen 7 drafts back in like 2017, 2018, and it was a really fun mon to use, especially with the Flynium Z crystal, which basically meant that I could shatter something with Fly and then get like a Moxie boost. But overall, really fun mon. I think it's got a lot of utility, and with Boots in Gen 8, I figured, it could be a cool, usable mon that I could try out right before the gen ends. Magnezone is a mon that I've actually been using for a little bit. I've used it in some more fun leagues rather than more like super serious leagues, but I also did win RFA, which was basically doing like a gods and followers league, and I had like a steel type and fighting a dark and I think psychic, and so a lot of those kind of struggle with steel types, so I just put Magnezone on there just to be able to handle some of the opposing steel types. But then, I also, I think, ran, like, Sash Sturdy, or not Sash Sturdy, like, Boots Sturdy or something like that, just as a way to, like, stop a lot of the bust and Ubers. So, lots of fun things that you can do with that mon. And then we have Porygon Z, the INT returning member himself, or itself, I guess, Porygon Z. I've been running this mon in INT, obviously, but also, like, in BDSP OU. It was like a max defensive set with agility, nasty plot, tri-attack, and it was a really fun set. I think there are a lot of sets that you can use in PZ, and obviously these mons have a lot of utility about them, but I think when they synergize with Rain, I think they kind of shine a little bit more. And the reason why is because you have the Salamence and the Porygon Z, which kind of struggle a little bit with certain steel types. That being said, you have a lot of water types in the Rain team, so they can kind of take the pressure off of the water types. But then Porygon Z and Salamence, if there's like not really that good of a steel type on the opposing team, they can just like break on their own, and then the Rain can clean with their speed. So a lot of different ways that this team can operate. And then you also have like Magnezone, which can also trap steals, obviously. So a lot of different things that can go about the composition of some of these Rain teams once we actually get into the matches. But up next, we got the next 3 water mons. This is basically going to be our Rain core, I guess, and they're pretty fun. We got 2 toads and a fish. So we got Seismitoad, which I think we needed hazards at this point. So, it's got a lot of versatility defensively and offensively, even if it's not like the strongest or like the best defensive mon. It's there, and it can really do a whole lot of different things. Barraskewda is a one-trick pony, but it's there to click Liquidation, is there to click Flip Turn, is there to just, do fish things in the rain. So that's really fun. And then we have Politoed, obviously, to get up the rain. You know, there's a bit of a debate between maybe like Pelipper and Politoed. I feel like Politoed is so much more reliable, doesn't really have to worry about rocks. Maybe has, I wouldn't say less utility, but like maybe more niche utility. That being said, it's very usable, especially at 10 points still. It might be a little bit of an overpay, but if, you know, it's either 10-point Politoed or 12-point Pelipper, you know, I'm getting Politoed 90% of the time. So overall, I think these water types are going to be able to take some of the pressure off some of the mons up front with dealing with steals, but, you know, the first three can break, and the second, I guess not Politoed, but like Seismitoad and Barraskewda can like sweep, or, you know, they can alternate on really any given week. So I think a lot of opponents have to be worried about that. That being said, we didn't really have like a high point mon at this point. Like, our highest point mon is still Salamence at 13. So I was kind of thinking like, okay, you know, I have some points to spend. Why not spend it on like a big mon that I haven't used in Gen 8? So with that, I kind of got some hazard support on the very, very cheap side. And then I got the monkey in the middle himself, the Rillaboom, alongside the Frostlass at 7 points, which I feel like is a little cheap. And then a very cheap Hitmontop at 5 points. I think all three of these mons, you know, they can work outside of rain. They maybe don't do the best with rain, but Grassy Terrain's nice. Grassy Glide is great at picking stuff off. Basically just like another form of rain in the sense that we have overwhelming speed. So that's really cool. And then also like it synergizes well with the Magnezone because we have like rain and Grassy Terrain to shield the Magnezone from like basically all super effective hits other than fighting, which, you know, we got Salamence there. I think, you know, Salamence plus Magnezone, they have a really, really good synergy together. But then we also got Frostlass just to be able to, you know, scare off some of those fighting types a little bit more as well. And then we also have another Intimidate mon, because obviously fighting types are mostly physical. So we got the Hitmontop there, really, really cheap, especially, you know, considering it gets some pretty, you know, usable abilities and like Intimidate and Technician, even though it really isn't the most intimidating mon. It still gets that attack drop, so that's really nice. We got Rapid Spin, so a lot of support on both sides of these three with hazards, because obviously we didn't want Seismitoad to be the only hazard user. But overall, you know, I think these three are pretty fun, maybe a little less synergistic in rain, but Hitmontop I think is worth the points. Frostlass I think is also worth the points, especially for the speed tier, which is really, really valuable for us. And then we got Rillaboom, which can just revenge the shit out of a lot of teams. So I think a lot of teams have to be worried about the Barraskewda, the PZ, the Mence, and the Rillaboom now revenging even the Politoed, or not the other toad, the Seismitoad. But from here, we basically have like 17-ish points, if I'm not mistaken, enough for an 8-pointer and a 9-pointer. I don't think I could have pulled off like a Rotom Porygon type mon with like what I had left in the pools. So I basically just went and got some pretty consistent mons, I feel like, in the Meltank and the, I was going to say Skorupi, the Drapion. Basically, I wanted some more hazards. I think Meltank was fine for hazards. You know, I could have used another fairy, or a fairy, you know, just to start with. That being said, I think Meltank is fine. It's got some pretty annoying support, and it can also like take some ice hits and stuff like that pretty well, which the team, I wouldn't say struggles with, but, you know, it could use a little bit more of maybe. Like Kyurem, I think, kind of messes the team up. So something like Frostlass, you know, would be our de facto Kyurem answer, which I don't really want. So Meltank being there is really nice. We also have the Drapion, which is there for T-Spikes, which is going to be super, super nice. I think it puts a lot of pressure on a lot of mons. And, you know, outside of like Rillaboom, I feel like a lot of flying types are pressured here. Like, there aren't a lot of flying types that handle PZ or Magnezone, obviously. And then, you know, our Water Core kind of goes in on a lot of them too. Like, a lot of the flying types that might resist the Rain Core don't really like a lot of physical hits either. So something like Mantine with Water Absorb, maybe like Gyarados with Intimidate. They don't really like some of the other mons in the back either. So I think a lot of these teams are going to have to really decide what they want to focus on in terms of their like defensive prep. So I feel like with Drapion, just like being able to get up a T-Spike and just like start whittling stuff down for all of these potential revenge killers to show up, I think is really, really cool. I also needed a Poison Dark, like pretty obviously. Like there's no poison, there's no grounded poison, and there's no dark. And you really need a grounded poison and a dark in a lot of these things. So I made sure that I had that. And I feel like it also synergizes well, being able to knock off Shed Shells potentially for the Magnet Zone, and being able to withstand more ground moves in grassy terrain. So overall, I think there's a good amount of synergy between all these mons. At least like more than the Sun team for sure. Probably more than the Sand team, which I haven't shown. But I think this team, it's got a bunch of fun guys on it. Maybe missing a Fairy again, but I feel like I did need that Hazard variety with the Seismitoad and the Meltank. But that's basically going to be the draft for the Rain squad. We are going to be going up against, I think, Saiyan Salamander. That is going to be going up the day after this drops. So if you're watching this, it should be going up Monday the 25th. Tuesday the 26th is when EWT Bracket 3 Round 1 goes up. So, you know, stay tuned for that. Look forward for that if you've made it this far. And I'll see you guys there. Peace.